So the latest movie in the MCU is released this weekend. It is The Marvels, the sequel to 2019's Captain Marvel. It's also kind of a sequel to the Disney Plus TV show from last year, Miss Marvel, and the Disney Plus TV show from a year or two ago, WandaVision. More on that later. But yeah, this is the sequel to Captain Marvel. It is The Marvels.
We're a team.
Oh, no, we're not a team.
We're not a team.
When we last saw Captain Marvel, she was busy helping the Avengers kick some Thanos butt at the end of Endgame. Since then, not sure what she's been up to. This takes place a few years after that. It doesn't really go into specifics as to how many years after Endgame this is. But Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, is in space. She's on her spaceship alone. She's doing some investigating at the behest of Nick Fury, looking into some timey-wimey wormhole jump point shenanigans. Meanwhile, Monica Rambeau, who we last saw in the WandaVision TV show, is working with Nick Fury on the Sabre space station, doing space station-y type stuff, literally doing space station repairs. Meanwhile, Iman Vellani's Kamala Khan, who we last saw in her own Disney Plus show, Miss Marvel, or Ms. Marvel, is still a teenager doing homework, or avoiding doing homework, and daydreaming about being an Avenger and, fighting side by side with Captain Marvel. Wouldn't you know it? Some stuff happens, and that's exactly what she gets to do. There is some plot information, kind of like exposition dumped out about how the powers of these three characters are linked, and when they use these powers, they somehow teleport and switch places if they use their powers at the same time. I don't think that's really a spoiler because they talk about that in the trailer. The villain of the movie is played by Zawa Ashton. She is playing a character called Darvell? No, not Darvell. Darben? Can't quite remember. Darben, I think. We'll go with Darben. She is after Kamala Khan's magic bangle bracelet type thing to match her magic bangle bracelet type thing, so she can have, all of the bangle bracelet power in order to enact her villainous plan. I won't say too much about that because I don't think they went into that in the trailer. That pretty much kicks off the plot of The Marvels. Our three heroes need to learn to work together. They need to learn to use their powers together in order to defeat the bad guy from doing the thing that she's trying to do. Plot-wise, that's pretty much it. I wouldn't say it's a paper-thin plot, but it's, it's not dense either. But is it any good? Is it marvellous? Or is it just meh? I would say it's probably more meh than marvellous. For a start, it kind of feels like Brie Larson is a passenger in her own movie. It feels like she is kind of phoning it in at times. It feels like she doesn't want to be there. Now, whether that's, from a character point of view or an actress point of view, or maybe both, it definitely felt like she wasn't really trying as much as everyone else in the movie. In stark contrast to that, Tony Stark. In stark contrast to that, Iman Vellani's Kamala Khan couldn't be more happier to be there. And that's probably true of both character and actress, because the character, her dream has come true. She is, teaming up with her hero, with her idol, Captain Marvel. And the actress, she's, on record about, being overjoyed to be just part of the MCU. And that totally shines through the screen in such a positive way. It's, much like how the Miss Marvel TV show, she's just a breath of fresh air. She's like a bundle of, charm and adorability, and it's something that the MCU hasn't had for a long time, if ever, to this extent. Monica Rambeau, played by Teyonah Parris, does a decent enough job, but again, it feels like she's along for the ride as well. But the absolute show stealer is Iman Vellani's Miss Marvel. The story does fill in some of the blanks as to what happened in the events after the first Captain Marvel movie, but before Endgame. That was quite nice. I enjoyed that element of it. I kind of wanted the plot to be more focused on that, to be honest. I wanted to see more of that than the plot that we ended up getting. Not that it's a terrible plot, but the little sliver of story and information that we got about the events after the first Captain Marvel movie, I was like, oh, I would like the story to go here, but no, it's going this way instead. So that was a little bit disappointing. I definitely wanted more of that instead. Supporting cast-wise, we've got Sam Jackson back as Nick Fury, playing Nick Fury / Sam Jackson. He just, he is who he is and does what he does, and he does that very well. Kamala Khan's family are back. We've got her mum, her dad, and her brother. They are equally as charming as they were in the Miss Marvel TV show. Who else have we got cast-wise? That's more or less it for the main characters. Small tangent here, cast-wise, there is a Scottish connection. Scottish Geek guy, Scottish connection. There's an actor called Gary Lewis who has a small part in this movie. You won't recognise his face if you know the actor, but I did recognise his voice, and I clocked him in the credits at the end, so that was quite cool to see. The first Captain Marvel was pretty decent. It was very well received, I think. Financially, I think it crossed $1 billion, so it definitely made a lot of money. In hindsight, though, I do wonder if that was at least in part down to the fact that the first Captain Marvel movie came out in between Infinity War and Endgame. So you're in between these two giant movies, two of the biggest MCU entries, two of the biggest box office earners of all time, I think. And that definitely had a little bit of a rub-on effect on the success of the first Captain Marvel movie, at least I think, anyway. I think one of the other issues with this movie is that if you haven't seen the Disney Plus shows, if you haven't seen Miss Marvel or WandaVision, I think you'll be playing catch-up a little bit because you'll have no idea who these characters are. In the Miss Marvel TV show, we had 6 or 8 episodes to really get to know the character of Kamala Khan. In the WandaVision TV show, okay, so Monica Rambeau was a supporting character in that, but you still you got to see and hear more from her. This movie doesn't really rehash the events of those TV shows, which is a good thing because you don't want the length of the movie to suffer because of that. However, I do feel like you'd be playing catch up if you hadn't seen the Disney Plus TV shows. There's a mid-credit scene that you absolutely want to stick around for. It almost gives the movie an extra point just for the mid-credit scene. There's an end credits. Well, it's not a scene, but there's like an audio joke, I suppose you would call it, at the end of the very end of the credits. It's not really worth sticking around for the extra 8 minutes, in my opinion. But let me know if you stuck around and if you think it was worth it. So I'm going to go with 6 out of 10 for The Marvels. It's not a terrible movie, but it's definitely not an upper tier MCU entry. As I said, I would put it, lower mid-table for MCU movies. Iman Vellani's Kamala Khan is a certified scene stealer in this movie. Her effortless charm and charisma and just adorability definitely saves this movie from being a complete dud. A different actress in that role, a different character, and it would be nowhere near as entertaining. She is the star. She's the person I want to see. She's the character I want to see in future MCU installments. Is she going to be in the Kang Dynasty? Is she going to be in Secret Wars? Is there going to be a Miss Marvel Season 2? Who knows? But that's definitely the character that I want to see more of. I would love to see Miss Marvel play off of Spider-Man, Kamala Khan and Peter Parker, because, they're both, they're a similar age. It would be, I can see, the scenes between them being really fun. So yeah, I'd like to see more of Miss Marvel. Not necessarily, I think, in a solo outing, but definitely in an Avengers-style movie. I think that could be quite fun. And something else that would be fun would be a wee sub to the channel. Thank you very much. That's it, folks. Thanks very much for watching. You can check out my other movie reviews and the links here, wherever they go on the screen. And I will catch you in the next video.